your club head speed came out as a 114. And then this is elite men's average. This is including professional players, college players, and teaching professionals. So you're slightly above the average here. So the average is about 110, and then you're at 114. But for your height, you're just generating average speed. And the swing time from the beginning of the backswing to impact, this is slight over 1,000 milliseconds, or over 1 second. This is elite men's average. But I want the swing time a bit shorter than this here. So maybe about 900 here. That means you have a faster backswing. And then the peak, this is club head speed. This is during the backswing and then downswing here. During the backswing, the peak occurs after the midpoint here. So this is the backswing, and then this is the midpoint here. And then it occurs after that. This is good. So you need to have the peak speed later, toward the end of the backswing, rather than early. Okay, so this is good. And the 3 and 4 here, 3 is when the lead arm is parallel to the ground. 4 is when the club is vertical. Let me show you this. Maybe go to this view here. This is 3, when the lead arm is parallel to the ground. And generally the club goes this way here. And then 4 is when the club is aligned vertically. And so you have a 3 and 4 sequence. This is perfectly normal. Okay? And so you have a fairly wide backswing, which is good here. And then 5 is when the pelvis rotation is completed. 6 is top of backswing here. Between 5 and 6, you have enough time there. This is the transition phase. You have a fairly long transition phase, which is also good. So timing-wise, I see good sequence here, 3 and 4 here. The 5 and 6 with the relatively long transition phase here. So overall, the backswing, the club head motion is pretty good here. But you can, again, speed up the backswing a little bit. So make a bit faster motion. Now this is the top view. This large rectangle here is the swing plane, calculated from the club head motion. So it's a slightly inward here. This is the target line, slightly out to in. So on the average is about 1.4 degrees. This smaller rectangle here is your hand motion plane. So based on the motion of the hands, this is inward here, about 8 degrees here. So your hands are moving inward more than the club head. This means you are using upper body. You are using the arms in the downswing. So later you will see that here the club head goes below the swing plane in the follow through here. Okay? So it's because your hands are coming in more than the club here. And then, so when we align everything along the swing plane here, so this straight line here is the swing plane, calculated from the club head motion here. And then I extended it here. So this shows the off-plane motion of the club head relative to the swing plane. These are the deviations of the club head from the swing plane. And in the backswing, the club is moving along the swing plane, which is good. You're not going flat, or you're not going really high up here. So this path is good. And then it's going up here, have nice looping motion here. But then here, when you start the downswing, you tend to pull the club with the arms. So if you use the body, the shoulder turn here, and then letting the club head drop, then this will quickly move toward the swing plane like this, but it's going gradually here. That means you're pulling the club with the arms. So you have strong arms here. So the club head is coming gradually toward the swing plane here. And then in the follow through, the club head goes below the swing plane here. It's because of your strong arms. So in terms of swing style, this is called the spiral swing. This is called the spiral swing here. So at the top of backswing, you are high up here, above the swing plane. And it comes down, and then in the follow through, it goes below the swing plane. So we are having this motion. It's because you have strong arms. Instead of letting it go, you try to drag it here. So you have strong arms. So this swing style is called the spiral swing. And the slope is 48.6 degrees. So for your height, this is slightly steep, but this is okay. This is actually okay. So it's pretty much passing through the midsection of your trunk here. So the position of the swing plane is reasonable. So the backswing path is good, and this looping motion is good, but when you start downswing, you tend to pull the club with the arms. Okay. So when you have a bit faster backswing, using more active legs, then this can change.
And can that lead to like bad strike?
When you pull in, yeah, so the club head, direction of club head motion and your direction of your hand motion are different. So when you match these reasonably well, then it's easier to control the direction, because when you throw the hands toward the target, the club head will also move in that direction. So using the momentum of the club head, they hit the ball rather than dragging in here. And the center of mass motion here, this is the whole body center of mass motion. So the red dot here. And so at the beginning, your center of mass is located here. And the body posture is quite stationary. You're just standing there. But in order to have an active backswing, then your body has to suddenly move and then start backswing here. So instead of starting from the completely stationary position. Okay? So the center of mass stays here at the beginning. And then starts moving away, so in the away direction. So the center of mass goes at the high position at the, this is 5 is end of pelvis rotation. So pelvis rotation is completed here. So timing is perfect. And then it's coming down. And then the low point occurs about here. So this timing is also perfect. However, you can move this down more. So you need to have a more up and down motion. When you have a good vertical motion, that gives you good rhythm. So the foundation of good swing rhythm is actually vertical motion here. When you have a little bit of vertical motion, that gives you good timing control. Okay? So without this, if you use arms, sometimes you go faster, sometimes you slow, timing can change. But when you have fundamental rhythm coming from the leg actions, then you cannot change the rhythm that easily. So it becomes more consistent. And also when you have a more vertical motion, you drop this down here and then kick and go up here. Then you are using the lead leg well. And with that, you can have extra speed. So I want to see this low point goes a bit more down here. That means you have to drop your body a bit more, and from there kick and stand on the lead side. So when you use arms quite a bit, then the problem is, you can see this, but on the way down here, this happens. Near the impact, this lead leg is almost unloaded here. Not much force is acting on the left leg here, more on the right. So the combined force is going this way on the left side of the center of mass here. But this should stay on this side. So near the impact, you should be able to stand on the lead side. But because you are pulling this with arms, swing through, you have a bit more force on this side here. So you will see that later. So when we see this type of pattern here, then it means you're using your arms quite a bit. Yeah. So in order to develop good rhythmic motion, then you have to use the legs better. And then for that, you need to introduce up and down vertical motion. When you have subtle vertical motion, then this will go down more. And you have a more good vertical interaction. And you will be able to stand on the lead side rather than unloading this side here. When you pull, this happens. But when you throw and then stand on the lead side, then toward the impact, you'll have more force acting on the lead side. So up to this point, this looks perfectly normal. You have more force on this side here. Then instead of standing here, that the force is leaning backward quickly here, and then eventually you see unloading of the lead side here. This is because you keep pulling the club down. So if the swing and have the image of swing and standing on the lead side rather than keep pulling this.
And unloading too early on the left.
So you have, up until this point, you have more force here. But what happens because you keep pulling here, from here, going, so having more force on this side. But from here, throw the club toward the target. And then you will be able to stand on the lead side. So instead of keep dragging, keep pulling, you can throw the club head. So so we need to promote a bit more vertical motion here. And then natural stepping-like motion. In the backswing, you'll have more force on the trail side here. And in the downswing, you have more force on the lead side and the stand on the lead side. This is the pelvis motion. The lower one shows a rotational motion. The upper one is a translational motion. Let's first look at this one. The red line shows rotation. So during the backswing, your pelvis rotates to the right, right? So this is red line here. And then, so you are rotating your pelvis to the elite man's average. This is average peak rotation of elite male golfers. And then at impact, you are turning your pelvis a bit more, okay, toward the target. But generally, these are reasonable. But at impact, you are turning the pelvis a bit more leftward, then it's easy to pull this in here. I think this is because you want to keep pulling in. That's why the pelvis rotates a bit more. So instead, by using the lead leg, when you push the ground to go with the lead leg, then it will limit the pelvis rotation. Then you will be able to stand on the lead foot. So So that's why his hands are moving inward, and also the club head is moving inward. with a bit more rotation leftward. So when the lead leg pushes the ground well in the downswing, and then you stand on the lead leg, when the leg is actively pushing, then you're activating these muscles, then the hip muscle will hold the pelvis. So you cannot turn the pelvis that much. So it'll naturally limit the pelvis rotation. So after this feedback session, let's work on the two-step swing drills a little bit. That will give you good rhythmic motion. Also, you'll be able to stand on the lead foot. So everything will just come together, okay? But here what I see is that if you look at the graph here, it's rapidly increasing, and then from here, the slope changes a little bit. So instead of the curve keep going, you have initial increase and then a bit slow down here. So the slope changes here. So if you look at this motion, up to this point, you are turning the whole body about the spine axis here. And then after that, this is slowing down here, and then it's arm and club motion here. So instead, try to have one continuous motion all the way here, instead of a quick turn and then going this way here. And then, so when you show this kind of pattern, then later we'll see in the kinematic sequence that you tend to rotate the pelvis a bit early. Okay, so and then the blue line here is a lateral tilt. Pelvis goes this way here. So during the backswing, the right hip is higher than the left hip here. So you have a left tilt. So left tilt also shows a similar pattern here. So from here to here, left tilt develops. When you rotate up to this point, you have continuous increase in the left tilt here, but then it goes flat here. So the pelvis pretty much stops here, and so you have almost a two-stage backswing. First a turn here, and then using the arms. And then this the blue line in the upper one is up and down motion here of the pelvis. So this also shows that your pelvis goes down up to this point, and then it stays here. But certainly there's a change in the pelvis motion at this point. So this is a two-stage pelvis motion.
It should be one.
Yeah, it's continuous one here. So in order to have a continuous motion, you have to use the right leg better, and then push the ground actively, and then in the one motion you go all the way here instead of a turn and then bring this up here. And then this goes flat here, the pelvis goes flat here. Then when you start the downswing, this is the top of action. This is top of action here. When you start the downswing, then it drops again here. So, but if you have a continuous downward motion, then this goes continuously all the way to this point here. But you are lowering this, and then it stays there, and then lowering it again. So at this point, you know that your body is not perfectly ready, so you intentionally try to do this. So go here, and then intentionally try to lower this a bit more. But when this motion is one-piece motion all the way here, then the downward motion pelvis also goes continuously here and then goes up here. And then this is the X factor here. X factor means the separation between the shoulders and hips here. So basically, it shows a X shape alignment. So that's why this is called X factor. So the X factor is equal to 0 here when the two lines are parallel to each other. The shoulder line, hip line are pretty much parallel to each other, so no X factor. But after that, the shoulder rotates more, so then you have this angle here. So the X factor increases up to this point here. But then again, the slope changes. Slope changes here. So that means you have a rapid separation here, but then when you are approaching to the end of backswing, the slope changes, so it becomes almost a flat here. Then you have to increase this again after the top of backswing here. So the maximum occurs after the top of backswing. And then again, you have a two-stage motion here. That means you have initial separation here, and this slows down, then you know that your body is not quite ready, that you have to do something, which is a rotation of the pelvis. Then this increases a bit more. But if you connect this, then it continuously increases all the way to top of backswing and then start decreasing. So backswing should be more or less a one-piece backswing here. Go all the way in one motion instead of turn and then do this. So all these show that you have more room for faster backswing. When you have a bit faster backswing, so when you start the backswing, before that you have a subtle body motion, and then with that start backswing actively, then you have a one-piece motion all the way, then you can change all this automatically. Just have a faster continuous motion, that's it. The two-step swing drills will be really good for that. Okay. In the kinematic sequence here, in the kinematic sequence, there are three sequences. The first one is the backswing sequence. Backswing sequence is based on the timings of the peak angular velocities here. So the red line here is the pelvis, green is thorax, blue is the shoulders, and then gray is the arms, and then this is the club here. You see the pelvis peak occurs here. So the pelvis peak occurs about here. So this is beginning of backswing, this is the top of backswing, this is about the midpoint here. It's occurring earlier. So you have an early quick pelvis rotation, then the pelvis gradually slows down here. So pretty much here, the pelvis is not rotating that much, but rather delay this here. So the pelvis peak occurs about the midpoint here. Then you have increase and decrease, simple increase and decrease here. That means your pelvis motion, one-piece motion, going continuously here. Earlier I said you have two-stage backswing motion. That's why the pelvis reaches peak angular velocity early. But delay this to the midpoint here. And then the pelvis, thorax, and shoulder, these pretty much reach peak angular velocity at the same time in the backswing, in the middle here. Okay? Then this will be further delayed, and then this will be further delayed. So instead of have an early, quick pelvis motion, have a gradual motion, continuous motion all the way. Then when you speed up the backswing, that's easier. Because using the momentum, you let it go all the way here. Then also the X factor will increase continuously. And then the transition sequence here. The transition sequence is based on the timing of a change of direction. So again, here we expect the sequential transition. So the pelvis turns first, thorax, shoulders, arms, and club. But in your case, these three are pretty much clustered here. So all the trunk segments are transitioning at the same time. Then the arms and club here. Overall, you have relatively long transition period, transition phase, but the trunk is pretty much changing the direction almost at the same time here. It's because toward the end of the backswing, you slow down. Okay? But when you have active motion all the way here, then that will give you good separation, continuous separation here. And then when the pelvis turns, then you have sequential transitions. So between the pelvis, thorax, and shoulder, you have separations. But if it slows down and then pull the hands here, then the trunk rotates at the same time. So that's why you see the clustered transition here. So more than anything, toward the end of the backswing, you should be able to feel that the shoulders wants to go more while the pelvis is slowing down here. this coiling of the trunk here. So then you will feel the tension building in the muscles in the trunk here because of this momentum here. So have good coiling of the body, and then from there, let it go. Instead of slowing down here, and let go at the same time, pull the arms. And then in the downswing, the timings are really good here. So the peaks occur about here. The timings are really good. Okay. Now, let's look at the pink line here, which is wrist angular velocity. So wrist angular velocity reaches the peak value about here. And then when the wrist angular velocity is negative, it means a cocking. When it's positive, it's uncocking. So you have a cocking all the way to this point, and then the uncocking starts from here. Okay, this is good. This is a delayed release. So your wrist motion is good. You are delaying the wrist motion, and then you have a further cocking when the downswing starts. This is good. However, if you look at the maximum at the top here, you can actually let the club go a bit more here.
With the wrist?
So keep the club a bit closer to the body here. So overall, this wrist motion is good. You have a delayed release and everything, but you need to have a more wrist cock.
That way?
So it's more this way here. This way here. Yeah, and then just let it go a bit more. When you can keep this closer to the body, it's easier to rotate because the club is closer. In mechanics, this is called the moment of inertia, but when the club is moving away from your body, if it stays far away from your body, then the overall system moment of inertia becomes large. Then you cannot accelerate that quickly. But when you keep the club closer to the body, you can quickly accelerate the body. So this wrist motion pattern is really good. However, you need to have more wrist motion here. So let the club head go down a bit more. So when you stop about here, then that means that in the backswing, you are intentionally slowing this down and try to stop it here. But throw, and then let it go using the momentum. Let it go, then naturally you'll have a more motion of the club. So you can go a bit bigger backswing. Okay.
Is it a driver or?
This is driver.
Yeah. What's on that?
Yeah. For the irons will have a bit smaller backswing, but still, I think you will need to increase the backswing size. Okay. So generally, you tend to slow this down and then try to stop here. That's why you have tendency of arm-driven downswing here. When you let it go and then body turns, body motion first, and then let it go, that you don't have to pull this down with the arms. So feel this motion.
Just a question. When you let it go with the iron, if you plug this up here, but you let it go, the moment of inertia is closer than here.
No, so bring the club head down. Instead of just try to rotate the arms more, the hands can stay, but keep the club head a bit close to the body.
Yeah, okay.
So when you just turn your arms more, then the whole body just turns more. That does not help. So the hands here, the hands can stay about here. In terms of arm rotation, it's fairly big here. But instead, less rotating the body, but let the club head go down a bit more.
With the wrist. Oui, il part avec les poignets.
Yeah, but I was struggling with the uncocking too much. Like if you wrist too much, there is a way to uncocking too early.
And so with his uncocking pattern here, you don't have to worry about casting. He is doing the down cocking pretty well here, but the only thing is just increase the wrist cock a bit more while maintaining similar pattern here. This is wrist motion is pretty good here, but the only thing is that you don't have absolute enough absolute wrist cock here. So if you let the club go about this much here, without turning the body too much, oftentimes what happens is you have a less wrist cock, then you try to turn the whole body more. Instead, keep the arms about here and then let the club go a bit more. So you see what happens is that this is the wrist angular velocity here, but at impact, this is your maximum wrist angular velocity, which is way below elite man's average. Although you are generating speed higher than the elite man's average, but your wrist angular velocity is way below.
So I can create more speed with my wrist.
You have to use the wrist better.
Impact and not. But that comes with, if I use my arm, I can use my wrist. So if I.
So yeah. So you are keeping, first you have not much wrist cock here to start with.
And then I drag with my arm.
And then pull this down with your arms here. So already here, when the club is in the horizontal position, let's go to the frontal view here. When the club is horizontal here, your hand should be actually in front of the thigh here, right thigh. So the hand should be here, with more wrist cock here. Then let it go. But already the hands are outside the thigh here. That means you are straightening this. You are letting the wrist go. This is because you don't have much wrist cock to start with here. But if you start with more wrist cock, then naturally as you come down here, still at this point when the hands are here in front of chest, in front of the thigh, still the club will align this way here. And then from here to impact, you can throw the club head. So then you can increase the contribution of the wrist angular velocity.
C'est pour ça que quand tu fais le orange white, là, on voit ce qu'il est dans le. When he use orange white, you will see the orange white like bend a lot here because he doesn't like have enough wrist action here. So it's going already in the other direction with a stop of the wrist quickly.
So when we do the two-step swing drills, you'll be able to have active backswing using the momentum, just to let the club go a bit more while maintaining similar wrist motion, okay? Then because the club is now going more here, you have more wrist cock, and on the way down, you don't have to pull the club down with the arms, almost like just throwing a sword. Drawing a sword from the sheath instead of try to cut something. So I think if you speed up the backswing and then let the club go a bit more, then this will improve automatically. You need to increase the contribution of the wrist angular velocity here, because if this increases, this will increase further. For your speed, you're not using your wrist enough. That's because first, you don't have enough wrist cock to start with.
So if I can use my wrist better, my overall speed can be much
Oh,
better than
yes. And so this is elite man's average maximum of the wrist angular velocity. But you are way below here.
So what's the...
This is club angular
Oh, that's
velocity.
the top. Okay.
Yeah, club angular velocity is close to elite man's average. So in other words, you're using the muscles and try to drive this instead of using the wrist angular motion here, as if you are snapping something. So you need to do that. So you need to increase this. Okay. So the delayed onset of a peak angular velocity in the backswing. That means initially your focus shouldn't be just turning quickly here. Rather, initially you have a shift motion here, and then one piece motion all the way to the top of backswing, and with a good amount of momentum of the club.
And it's the momentum who's going to create the wrist angle.
Yeah, you are not really doing this, but rather
It's just by doing
the momentum,
with the
it wants to
scale.
go more. So you less resist, then automatically you have more wrist kake. So you really need to use the momentum of the club. And then ground direction force here. Let's go to the this one here. This will show the general idea.
Am I going to have access to all this data to the? Like
I'm
this?
recording
Oh, you're recording.
recording this and then also the screen here. You'll be able to see. And also your coach will be able to see this. So this middle one is the ground direction force. Green line is the force acting on the lead side. Blue is the force acting on the trail side. Red is the combined force here. And here at the beginning of the backswing, you have a slight more force acting on the lead side here. But you can increase the difference. So at the beginning, you need to push the ground good with the lead side, and with that, start the backswing here. Active start the backswing. Now these crosses, and then, so here you have the most push from the trail side here. So up to this point, this is good. And then you have unloading of the lead side here. So you have a large force difference. That's why this point is close to the trail side here. Up to this point, it is good. However, the force difference decreases here. This is because from here to a top of backswing, you have a slow motion here. So up until this point, pretty much up until this point, you are turning quickly here. And after that, just lifting the arms and club here. So with that, you're losing this force difference. So by the time you're reaching the top of backswing here, you pretty much have similar forces acting on both here.
And there's no momentum.
No, here, what happens here is that you still need to have more force acting on the trail side here. So the center pressure should be here and then showing good inclination here. But you are moving the whole thing toward the lead foot early here. So when you don't have enough inclination of the force arrow, that means you're not pushing the ground in the horizontal direction that much. So when you have good push here, at this point, you also should push the ground laterally, actively. But you're losing this. And then but the timing here, then the red line, if you look at the red line, the red line is above this line here. This is a one body weight. So this is your body weight. And then so you are pushing more than your body weight at this point. But this has to go up more. Okay, you have to push more actively so that you can have, this total force becoming larger than this, go up high here. After that, this goes below the body weight here. This is called the unweighting. So when you interact with the ground, you have active push. That means the force is greater than your body weight. And then you have unweighting. That means that your force is less than the body weight. You are repeating active push and the unweighting. So with that, you have good interaction with the ground. So, but in the unweighting here, so with this push, you're starting the unweighting, but you can see that, so from here, the unweighting starts, and up to this point, the unweighting goes on here, right? And then after that, the unweighting starts again. So instead of continuously unweighting here, you are sort of hesitating here and then starting unweighting again. So this means again, around here, toward the end of backswing, you have a slow motion here. That's why this happens. This is called the hesitation. If you have a continuous unrating, then this will go down all the way here. So you will have a lot more unrating. When you have a lot more unrating, then you will have a lot more force here. But this unrating, hesitation here, you're starting unrating again, and then with this, you don't have a good push here.
And the average of unweighting, like, is the total, should it just be like continuous?
A continuous
or it
unrating.
should also be
Continuous unrating. And the continuous and also bigger. When you have continuous unrating, drop your body a bit more, then the area under the curve increases. So when this continues here, then you'll have a lot more unrating. So with this, the area here should be equal to, so the area above the one body weight line here, and then the area below up to this point, these should be equal to each other.
But in my case, the first one should be higher. And
So when you increase this,
should be,
then this will also go down more here, because these two areas are equal to each other. And that this area and then the area up to the peak here, these should be equal to each other. So when you increase this, then you have more unrating, more continuous unrating here. When you increase this area, then this also goes up here. So in order to do that, after pushing the ground here, and then you have to have a more active drop here. Good push and drop and kick. But because you're not lowering the center mass, enough, so you have a limited unrating here, then limited push here.
and what is the percentage of body weight, like the maximum?
Unrating?
Yeah.
Unrating, you can go up to 70% of your body weight. So that means 30% unrating. And then the peak, maximum here, the elite men's average is about 1.65 times body weight. But you need to bring this up to 1.8, 1.9. You don't have to go over 2.0. It's too much. It should be below 2.0, but should be close to 1.9. But you don't have enough push here. And then this one, the lower one, is called the momentum, which is a separation between this arrow and the center of mass here. So this gap here is called the momentum. And then when you multiply momentum and the force, that gives the torque. Torque is the cause of rotational acceleration. So when you have large torque, then you can generate fast rotation, right? And so the peak momentum occurs about here. You have a low momentum because you are shifting this toward the lead foot. And then with that, you have a good amount of torque generated here, but the peak is a bit sharp, go up and then quickly coming down here. So this is top of action. This is when the lead arm is paired to the ground on the way down. But between these, you have a sharp peak up and the coming down here. So this gives a reasonable large area under the curve here. So you can generate the relatively large torque. But imagine if you can maintain this pretty high here. Even at the top of action, you're up here. At the 7 and 8, if you can stay up out here, you can really have a large area under the curve. The area under the curve is called the angular impulse, but if you increase the angular impulse, then you will be able to generate fast rotation. Okay? So, but the peak is too sharp here, and then coming down quickly here. But still, I think if we calculate the area here, this area should be reasonably large because this peak is pretty high here. Okay? So this is the source of your speed, 114 speed. But imagine if you can use your wrist a bit better, then you have more speed. Okay? But here, it's important to maintain good push here and then maintain this force gap as much as possible instead of losing the gap here. So basically, the the way you interact with ground is similar to stepping. So step this way and then step this way, step, step. So kick and then kick, kick and then kick. Kick in the backswing, support your body well and then kick. Kick and drop your body and then kick, stand on the lead side. But in your case now here, at impact, the force goes below the body weight. So you have unweighting at impact. This is totally unnecessary. You are essentially losing the connection with the ground here. Okay? So you see at impact, your ground reaction force is way less than body weight. Actually, this is more unweighting than this unweighting peak here. When you have unweighting, this means you're pulling this hard here. And then generally the force goes on the left side of the center of mass. Then the torque is acting in the opposite direction. You see? The torque goes in the opposite direction here. So your rotation is this way, but torque is acting in the opposite direction near the impact. So there's no reason to do this. Just you can keep it a bit maybe close to zero, but there's no reason to generate torque in the opposite direction. This is because you have unweighting at the impact here. So the best strategy is for the regular golf swing. If it's long driving, then it's different, but it's regular golf swing, then swing and then just stand on the lead side here, rather than pulling the hands quite a bit here. Throw the club and then stand on the lead side. So you can probably speed up backswing a bit more, and instead of an early quick action here, try the one-piece motion all the way here. All the way, and then build the climax toward the end of the backswing, rather than early on here. Okay? And with that, throw the club so that you can feel the motion of the club, momentum of the club. With that, let the club go a bit more. No need to hold it here. Stop it. When you stop it here, then always on the way down, you will see clustered transition of the trunk. They turn at the same time. But when you let it go and then come here, you have continuous motion like this, then you have well separated the sequential transition. The key is letting it go enough. Okay? Any questions? Let's see how much. We have about 40 minutes, and then let's work on the two-step swing drills. That will be probably single most effective practice drills. Okay.
What would be like the good amount of body weight at impact for, not like for a normal?
It's around,
one?
so at impact, around the body weight. Yeah.
What was that autour de 1?
Yeah, close to the body weight. At impact, no need to push hard, no need to unweight.
And just to
stand on the.
And just, I mean, it's not my case, but like, why does the long driver unload that much?
Their swing motion is so rigorous. If the foot is planted, they can damage the knee right away. Yeah, because they have, once they push and then try to move it away.
So they can create space.
In the regular swing, you can also do that if you swing really hard, but you don't have to do that.